I'm Jennifer, and this is Movie Talk. This week's movie is a childhood favorite of mine, and that is The Last Unicorn. This movie was made in 1982 by Rankin Bass Production, who have made such wonderful movies as The Flight of Dragons, The Hobbit, and The Return of the King, in addition to The Last Unicorn, and such wonderful holiday movies as The Easter Bunny is Coming to Town and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which I will talk about for special edition movie talks for those holidays. And they've also done some wonderful TV shows such as Thundercats and Silverhawks, which I will talk about on TV Talk. Now, this movie tells the story of a beautiful unicorn, simply known as the Unicorn, and her quest to discover if she truly is the very last of her kind. Now, she is voiced by Mia Farrow, and the unicorn is just a beautiful creature. She is rather than making her look like a white horse with a horn on her head, which is very easy to do, or on her forehead, which is very easy to do, very general look of a unicorn. They went with the very classic look for her. So she actually looks very graceful and very elegant, and I loved that design for her. Now, along the way, she becomes friends with two humans, Smendrick the Magician, voiced by Alan Arkin, I believe is how you say his last name, and Molly Grew, who's voiced by Tammy Grimes. Both of which can see that she is a unicorn, and they are actually two of the few humans that are able to do this, as most humans look at a unicorn and see a white mare. The unicorn, who later in the movie becomes known as Lady Amalthea when Smendrick turns her into a human, was told by a butterfly that all the unicorns disappeared when a Red Bull came for them. And throughout this quest, and throughout the movie, she is, like I said, on a quest to determine whether she is the very last one. And Smedrick and Molly, after meeting her, decide to come along with them. This movie is actually really, really wonderful. Despite being well over 30 years old, it is a great movie. I consider it a classic. And it's a movie I personally love. My sister and I used to watch this movie all the time. We would watch this movie, The Flight of Dragons, The Wizard of Oz, and Annie, like almost on a daily basis. And we used to pretend when we were little girls that the unicorn lived in our backyard, along with Smeargle and Gorbash from The Flight of Dragons. We had a really rich fantasy life as kids, but most kids do. And I had been looking all over for this movie. Actually had it on video cassette, as it was one of the first movies my dad recorded for us. I was looking all over for this, for The Flight of Dragons, and for The Hobbit, and I eventually found them on Amazon and got the DVDs for them. Now I'm looking for The Return of the King, the old school Return of the King, not the newer one. And The Hobbit I mentioned was the old school Hobbit from 1977, not the newer one. Because those are the ones I grew up with. But anyways, this is just a wonderful movie. It is based off of a novel by the same title, by Peter S. Beagle. I have not yet read the book. I actually do have the book, but I have not yet read it. I will do a book talk video on it, and once I do that book talk video on it, I will do a special video where I compare the book with the movie. And it's so many things I love about this movie. The backdrops, like the animation is just so beautiful. It's just so otherworldly that it's beautiful. And again, the unicorn is just so beautiful and breathtaking. Just gorgeous creature. They really capture the essence of her being this beautiful mythical creature. And she actually, like, I had been watching Thundercats prior to when I got this movie, and there are unicorns in that, and I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at the unicorns from that TV show. I'm like, wow, they look so similar, but it's, you know, not surprising considering what Rankin Bass made both the last unicorn movie and the original Thundercats TV show. So, of course, the unicorns in both would look very similar. But anyways, and all but 2 songs in this movie are actually formed by America. One, I don't know the name of it, but it's a song that the unicorn / Lady Amalthea, it's like a little duet, that the unicorn / Lady Amalthea sings with Prince Lear, who is voiced by Jeff Bridges, who is the son of King Haggard, who is the person who had all the unicorns collected or captured, and I do not remember who did the voice of King Haggard. And the other one is one that Lady Amalthea or the unicorn sings when she's human, about how she's forgetting who she is. But all the other songs, The Last Unicorn, Man's Road, and In the Sea, are all performed by America, and they are very beautiful songs. I actually have all of them, and the one that the unicorn sings on my playlist on my phone. I listen to them all the time. I've practically memorized The Last Unicorn. It is one of my favorite songs. The song, it is one of my favorite songs in the whole movie. And it's just so wonderful. It's like the unicorn and the bull, who are the 2 magical creatures in this movie, are very much exact opposites, where the unicorn is drawn and portrayed in the movie as this beautiful, elegant, innocent, mythical creature. The red bull is actually portrayed as this very menacing, frightening creature. And there was a time when I was a little girl, when I had first watched this movie, that I honestly thought, when I heard the furnace turn over in the basement, that it was the bull. And I was just so scared of it because the bull is that frightening. And of course, you know, I was a little girl and I had a wild imagination at the time. But still, but the bull is that very frightening, and he is red, and he's got like this fire coming off of him. It's really, the 2 creatures, the unicorn and the bull, are a big representation of good and evil. The unicorn being the representation of good, and the bull being a representation of evil. And it's a nice contrast, and they could have done the bull as a black bull, since the unicorn's white, but I really liked, which would have been an even bigger contrast between, like, the between them, but I really like how they did him as red, because it makes the bull look more demonic, in my opinion. Really an adorable little movie. I really highly recommend watching it if you have never seen it before. It is just so good and wonderful. And I was sitting watching this movie and The Flight of Dragons last weekend, and then a couple of weekends before that, or maybe the weekend before that, I was watching The Flight of Dragons and The Hobbit, because I hadn't seen either one of those in a while. I'd actually watched The Last Unicorn a few times within the past couple of months on Netflix. I was watching The Fire Dragons and The Hobbit, and then last weekend I was watching The Fire Dragons and this, and I was just looking at this after so many years of not seeing them, and particularly the Fire Dragons, I've been thinking, oh my god, I can't believe Mom and Dad let us watch these, because some of them are just so dark. And it's like these are not necessarily children's movies. They deal with more adult issues and whatnot. But I was talking about that with my mom and dad, and when they got home, and they were like, well, you know, you guys really weren't looking at it that way. You were looking at it more if it's animated, and there were unicorns and dragons and things in there. And my parents liked it because of the more adult issues. It was something they could watch together, and as with The Hobbit, my dad had just finished reading Tolkien. Sorry, that was my speaker for my tablet. So, you know, he was really interested in The Hobbit and the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy at that time, because he had just finished reading the books. And yes, I have read those books as well. Do not know what I did with them, but I will try and find them for TV Talk. But we're moving away from The Last Unicorn. But yeah, it's a really wonderful movie, and I don't know, but you can see on the cover what the unicorn kind of looked like. And as I said, she's a really pretty unicorn, and there's the ball. You can see he looks really menacing, really scary. I mean, I'm an adult, and I still find him a little on the scary side. Not as much as I did when I was a kid, but I still find him a little scary. Smaug, kind of the same way from The Hobbit. I still find him a little on the scary side. Not as much as when I was a kid, but still. But again, beautiful animation, beautiful music, a wonderful story. I mean, the story in and of itself is just wonderful. It's she doesn't accomplish her goal until she gets rid of her fear. So it's because she was so afraid of the bull when she first sees him, and that is what prompts Smendrick to turn her into a human to kind of protect her from the bull. And it's not until when she confronts him a second time that she lets go of that fear. I'm trying to think here. That she actually is not only to save herself, but to inspire the other unicorns to not be afraid of the bull. So it is a wonderful movie. There were some other characters in the movie that we don't see for very long. Mommy Fortuna and her little sidekick Rook, who Smendrick worked with. They actually captured the unicorn and put her in an attraction that they had, where they were showing mythical creatures to the public. And I use the air quotes because all but the unicorn and the harpy were not mythical creatures. They were just regular animals with spells on them. And then there was the rogue group that Molly belonged to, and whatnot. So, you know, a couple of minor characters. I mean, important enough that they had names, but, you know, you don't see them for very long. They're not, like, through the whole movie. I don't know if they were in the book or not. I'm pretty sure they were, if they were mentioned in the movie, but I'm not sure. Again, really good. I loved it. The animation of The Flight of Dragons and The Hobbit and The Return of the King are very similar to this, but again, they were made by the same company. So it would be, I just can't think of anything else to say about it. I loved it. It was just a wonderful movie. Movie I grew up watching. I actually had a white toy unicorn. I have no idea where it is now. It's probably in the attic somewhere. That I named him Althea when I was a little girl. So you can see it had a big impact on me. And again, it was a movie that my sister and I, we would just constantly play when we were little girls. We'd take turns being the unicorn and whatnot. We again, we used to pretend that she lived in our backyard. So it inspires this wonderful play fantasy in kids, just because of how it's done. And the story in amongst itself, the screenplay story, again, because I have not read the actual book yet, but I'm pretty sure the book is not that much different from the movie, is wonderful as well. It's just, Rankin Bass is one of my favorite companies. They did a lot of stuff. I like a lot of movies and a couple of TV shows that I absolutely love from when I was growing up. So, and that I do look for, because it's like, oh, I remember watching this, and I want to have it so I can sit down and watch it again, even though I'm like too old for it. I still want to sit down and watch it, because it was just, it takes me back to that time in my childhood. And The Last Unicorn is one of them. It's like, I was looking for the DVD, number one, because I do like the movie. It is a movie I like. Number two, it takes me back to that time in my childhood when I believed that unicorns and dragons and elves and, you know, all these mythical things, creatures that we see in The Last Unicorn and The Flight of Dragons and The Hobbit and Return of the King were real and out there. So it, again, like I said, any movie that can do that, it can take me back to my childhood, or to that point in my childhood, and bring up memories of things I haven't thought about in years. It's just, it's a wonderful, wonderful movie. Because very few movies are able to do that. I mean, I can, everyday movies, not holiday movies, that I can talk about, that I can think about, that do that. I could probably count them on one hand. There's The Last Unicorn, Flight of Dragons, The Hobbit, The Return of the King, and The Wizard of Oz, and Annie. Okay, so I could count them on two hands. But those are like those are the six that can do that actually. Well, and the original My Little Pony movie. So 7. Those are the 7 movies that actually take me back to my childhood and make me remember all this times. Well, okay, 8, because I just thought of an 8th one. The Secret of the Sword, the He-Man She-Ra adventure. Those are movies that take me back to my childhood, and they just, again, any movie that can do that, it's just, it's amazing. It's an amazing movie. And I'm going to wrap this up because I don't want this to be a super long video. Again, highly recommend checking out The Last Unicorn. It is a wonderful movie. It is currently, as of the posting of this video, on Netflix. But do check, because Netflix does, unless it's like a Netflix original movie or original TV show, will take stuff off after a while. So don't hold me to it that it is on Netflix. It might be off by now. I'm not sure. My next video, I don't usually announce what my next video is because I like to have it a week to think about it, but I have an idea of what my next 2 videos are going to be. My next video is either going to be on The Flight of Dragons or the original Hobbit, because I'm kind of on a nostalgia kick right now. So I'm going to be doing a video on one of those 2. I just haven't decided which one yet. And as soon as I get it and I watch it, I will do a video on the original Return of the King. But I have to find it first. So that's about all I have to say. Please like and subscribe. That helps me out a lot making these videos. Also, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section. That helps me out a lot too. And feel free to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Those help me out a lot. And please feel free to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. It doesn't really help me out. Kind of got in the habit of saying that. And I'm Jennifer. This has been Movie Talk, and I will see you next time.